Hey ladies, welcome back to the show. I am your host, Trisha Stefankowitz, registered dietitian nutritionist. And today's episode, I want to talk about identifying what your why is. So often we know what it is we want to achieve, and we kind of have an idea of how we're going to achieve it. But I realize that many of us, myself included, never really thought about what my why was when it came to my health, wellness, and self care goals. A little background is that there is a book by Simon Sinek, and he basically talks about like knowing your why. And so I started thinking about it in terms of when it comes to health goals, and I realized that most people don't really know why it is that we want to achieve something. So many of us set these goals and we don't really know what the why behind the goal is. And so subsequently, we'll look back at that goal a couple years later and realize that we never achieved it. And I believe that we never achieved it because we never really figured out the deep rooted reason of why we needed or felt we needed to, or why it was important for us to achieve the goal in the first place. So everybody has a reason that they want to improve their health, but most people have no idea why they actually want to do it. So we know what we want, right? So most women are, I want to lose weight. I want to have more energy. I want to look better. I want to feel better. I want to be less stressed. I want to take time to make sure that I engage in some self care, right? So we all know the what. Maybe we even know the how. I feel like for most people, even if you don't know the exact how, you may have an idea of a very loose plan that you can do to kind of get you towards the goal that you desire. But what people don't do is they never really take the time to figure out what the why is. And why is that why so important? So why is it not enough just to have the what and the how of the plan, but not actually have the why? Well, the why is important because it's very hard to maintain consistency and motivation and achieve what you want if you don't know why you are doing it. The why is the key to taking action and to driving real change. Because once you're able to identify the why, it becomes important enough to you and it becomes very clear and you have an understanding of what it is that will get you there, and it gives you power. That's the big thing that the why is going to do. The why and having this idea that you can take action because it's coming from within you is going to be the thing that drives your behaviors. And it's going to be the thing that inspires you and helps you feel motivated in times when it feels really hard to do something. Because let's face it, life gets in the way. You're not gonna be able to maintain motivation all the time. Motivation, ebbs and flows. But the why is something that remains consistent. It doesn't go away. Your why may change at different points in your life because you may value some things more at some points in your life and something completely different as you get older and you have more life experiences. So the why, for the most part, is going to be something that comes from within that is going to be so big that it's going to help kind of keep you inspired even when you feel like you don't want to do something. So when we talk about this why, the why of the importance of this question is because oftentimes we have these two kind of motivators, right? And one of the things when it comes to motivation is that it does ebb and flow. It's not consistent. We expect it to be consistent, but it isn't. But there's two different kinds of motivations. There's intrinsic and there's extrinsic. There may even be more than that, but I feel like these are the ones that get the most notoriety. The intrinsic motivation is something that comes from within you, that is rewarding to you, and that you feel like is like this deep desire within your soul. The extrinsic motivation is something that is like a reward that maybe you get along the way, and you're getting a reward for your behavior, or maybe you're avoiding some kind of punishment. Oftentimes, when it comes to making our health and wellness and self-care goals, the emphasis is a lot of times on the extrinsic. So when we're thinking about how, like, what we're going to do to get to our goal and how we're going to do it, a lot of times we're doing these, and I've done this too, where we almost have like these like extrinsic rewards along the way. So we do something, we pat ourselves on the back, we give ourselves a reward. I've even talked about doing that on this podcast. But what the why does and why it's so important is because it's something that is rewarding to you. And so it comes from deep within, and it's stronger because it's not something that can come and go like the extrinsic motivation. It's something that stays with you because it's something that you want to do that's so big that it doesn't even matter if there's a timeline, because it's what you want, it's what you desire, and it's something that is so deeply rooted within your soul that it is the reward enough. So why this idea of knowing what your why is so important is there's a lot of reasons. There's basically knowing why you're doing something will create self-awareness into and drive that idea of what you want and how you can get there. It just gives you that extra step to take you to that goal. It gives you purpose. It's always, I think, leads you to success if you have a purpose. And once you know what your what is and your how, and then the bigger part, the why, it kind of drives that whole action step forward. And so, maintaining a healthy lifestyle tends to be a lifelong process that requires consistency and commitment. It's not something that can be fleeting, right? And so knowing your why will help you maintain both the commitment and the consistency, because it's from within. It's driving you forward to maintain and take action. The why is important because motivation comes and goes, but your why will remain for the most part, at least for a time. It will remain the same. And that's going to be the key into keeping you going when times get really hard. Because let's face it, life gets in the way. But if you have this deep desire to do something because of a bigger purpose, it's going to help you maintain a little bit more of that motivation, and to kind of have that like realigning within yourself and the desire to do something that's pretty deep in order to achieve the goal that you want. I don't know if you guys could hear that. My son was in the background wanting me to come up and lay with him. So I apologize for that. That's what happens when you're recording in the middle of the night when your son is sleeping. All right, so let's get back to this. So really knowing your why will help keep that motivation going when things get hard. And it'll allow you to have some kind of clarity on the steps that you need to take to make the change that you want happen. So knowing your why is really like the missing component here, I think, for a lot of the times when we talk about achieving our health goals. This is the bigger piece, the magic. Finding and knowing your why also helps identify any of the core beliefs that you have and will inspire you to maintain action, because I think it'll allow you to take action and then maintain that action because it's something that's really personal to you. And it allows this opening of a deep desire and motivation for you to do something. And the other thing is that knowing your why is that it's very rewarding to you because there's a personal connection to it. So when it comes to having some why examples, we can go through some, but there's no right or wrong thing that's going to inspire you. Each person is going to have their own intrinsic motivation for their why. So it's likely that yours is going to be uniquely your own. So you're not going to be able to borrow somebody's why because you both come from a different set of beliefs and values, and intrinsic motivation will all be different. So your why maybe, you might be able to have some kind of vagueness like somebody else's, but ultimately your why is going to be different from what my why would be. And remembering that each person is motivated by something different. So on this podcast, a lot of times people will talk about these very basic goals, the ones I mentioned at the beginning, the what. I want to lose weight, I want to have better sleep, I want to take better care of myself, right? But the why isn't part of that. So let's kind of talk about some examples of why examples. Okay. So saying that you want to get healthy is very different than the why of I want to lose weight because I want to be healthy for my family, or that your why might be that you want to feel more comfortable in your physical body. Or maybe your why is because you have a family history of multiple diseases. Maybe you have a family history of cardiac disease or heart disease. And your whole why is that you don't want that to be you. You want to be the one that breaks that generational chronic disease. Maybe your why is that you want to be the best version of yourself and live up to your best perceived potential. And if you're not healthy, you are unable to do that. So do you understand that there's a difference, like, hey, I want to get healthy versus this why you're digging deeper and really finding out what it is that is important to you, and then subsequently knowing, once you know that, then knowing how that's going to be able to affect you and inspire you. One of my friends has this goal that she wants to travel, and once her kids go to college. So her why for starting to live a lifestyle that is filled with more physical activity, joining a gym when it's really something that she's scared of, eating a different way, is because it's preparation for her to live a life that she can be mobile and that she can be functioning, so that she gets to travel and enjoy her retirement or her early retirement because she wants to travel, which is her big why, or why she's doing something. So again, with all these examples, you can see that it's much deeper. It's much deeper than, I want to fit into a pair of jeans. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I would say if that's your goal, digging deeper into that, like, but why do you want to fit in that pair of jeans? And digging deeper. And the more you dig, the more you're going to really start to figure out what your why is. So what your why is not is, your why needs to be something that's for you. You can't have a why that's based on somebody else. So you can't do something for somebody else because you're not going to be successful using someone else's why. And remembering that everybody's why statement will be different, because we all, we all have something that's going to motivate us in a different way. So what might motivate you might be different than what motivates your friend or your family member. So, if you just kind of thinking about your own life, if you feel like you're really having a hard time achieving what you want, and are not you're not really clear on your why, maybe you never asked yourself why this change is so important to you. And so when we talk about trying to figure out what your why is, it's really a series of questions to think about. And that's how you're really going to be able to find out what your why is. It's going to probably take some time to dig and reflect before you really find out what it is. So typically when you're trying to figure out what your why is, your personal why, it's just asking questions and digging deeper and deeper and deeper. So basically, if you're saying that you want to lose weight or you want to be healthier, dig deeper into that. But why? Why do you want that change? And then go to the next step. Okay, I want to be healthier because I want to, maybe I want to be able to play with my children. Maybe if you're older, you want to be able to play with your grandchildren. Maybe if you're like my friend, you're looking forward to traveling more. Maybe it's because you want to feel comfortable in your own personal space. Really dig into it. Because once you really know that, you're going to really start to find more out about yourself. And you're really going to start to figure out what it is that you value. So what I would say is start to figure out what your loose goal is and keep asking yourself why until you can really define it. And you're probably going to go back into some of your history. Okay, my family had this chronic disease. I don't want to get that. So I'm going to have to do these things even though I don't always want to do them, because that's the only way that I'm going to prevent myself from getting that. And that is ultimately my why, is because it's more important for me to make all these health changes than to have this disease state. Okay, so it's really just asking yourself what it is you want, how you're going to get there, and then digging deeper into why you want those things. And keep asking yourself why. Once you know that, really start to write. I would actually just write what it is, what your why is, down on a piece of paper. And why I say that is because I think it's really helpful to kind of have it around. So again, it's very different in your brain saying, "Oh, I want to lose weight," but it's much, if you kind of know the what, the how, and the why, write it down, because then you can have it by your bedside, you can have it in your mirror, you can have it in your car, and when things are really hard or you're lying on the couch and you're not exercising, when that's something that was part of your why, you can pull it out and be like, okay, this is why I'm doing this. And reviewing them often is going to be something that's really helpful too, because that's what's going to help keep you motivated when you don't feel like doing something. And it's what's going to help keep that desire that you have to achieve that why in the forefront of your mind. So keep your why statement somewhere handy so that when life gets in the way, you can remember the what, the how, and the why, which is the most important part, that you desire and that you want. So also, I think what's helpful about the why is it will really help you find your intrinsic motivation. And with that comes this deep desire from within you. And because of that, you move through this process of getting to the change, the health, wellness, or self-care change that you desire. And it allows you to take your time and learn the behaviors, because you know that deep down it's something that you're it's going to be longer term, and you're learning the behaviors along the way, and you're connecting to yourself in a way that allows you to achieve the long-term goal that you desire. Versus if you're extrinsically motivated, so you're motivated by rewards, that might be in your head. You're thinking, okay, I need to achieve this. Here's my short-term goal. And then you're kind of done. So because the why is so deeply rooted within you, it really helps. It helps you learn skills along the way that will allow you to achieve the behavior over the long term, but not feeling like you have to achieve it within a certain time period because you're achieving it because there's no end point to it. It's just something that you desire, and that's one of your goals. And so there's no rush to try to get through it really quickly. So that's another value of the why. So today I want you to start thinking about what it is that you want, how you're going to do it, and really the most important thing that I want you to think about is the why, because most likely you already know the what and the how. So really dig into why you want to do something. I had never done that, and I feel like it provides a lot of value. So I encourage you to sit down, just have a couple minutes by yourself, whether you're drinking coffee in the morning, put your phone down, and just think about your why. And once you kind of have a little bit more of an understanding of what it is, write it down. It could be writing it down in your notes section on your phone, grabbing a pen and paper, something so that you have it with you for when you really need it. So, as always, I am very grateful for you listening, and I want to remind you that this whole journey of whole health is not an impossibility, but only you can make it happen. And for today, starting to think about what your why is a really great step in that direction. So remember to start where you're at, and that it's not about being perfect, it's about being 1% better each day. As a reminder to you for this podcast, the why of this podcast is to empower you and educate you so that together we can improve our lives and achieve the health, wellness, and self-care goals that we all desire. And so that you don't feel alone in this journey, that you feel like you have support. So again, I appreciate you for listening, and I will see you back here next week. And I want to remind you to be kind to yourself. Have a great weekend.